14 days left until we pick up Ella from China. We're talking about we listened to a Tim Ferriss episode about this woman named Anne, who's a venture capitalist, and she, grew up basically failing a fair amount of tests. And she was even put into special education, rode the short bus. But then later on in life, she was a consultant at McKinsey. She went on to have all these different achievements. And it was just really interesting because in that episode, she was discussing how even if she failed a big test, she never let that particular measurement be the only thing that she judged herself by. And that was really causing us to think about a little on, even our own upbringing. And especially especially you. What do you mean, especially?
Well, I got good grades.
Okay. Yes, you got good grades.
I fit in the category.
I had a 2.79 GPA in college. I wanted to go to B school. I failed business calculus. Fall semester, freshman year, took the first test, failed the test, dropped the class. Second semester, took the first test, failed the test, dropped the class. Third semester, still want to get into B school. I took the first test, failed the test, didn't drop the class, failed the class. Didn't get into B school.
Never occurred to you that you maybe just shouldn't
enroll
in the class, I guess persistence sometimes is not a good thing.
And on top of that, I took accounting, failed accounting, and then I took it again 3 years later, and I got a D in order to pass a prerequisite for business.
We see a pattern here. What did you do with GMAT?
Had to bring that up, didn't you? I took a class. I studied hard. I think I got like a 420 or like a 500 on my GMAT. Needless to say, this whole thing called like formal business education, it was not meant to be for me. She took the GMAT, did not take a class, and she did very well and studied like half the time. The lesson here is maybe Ella excels at school, maybe she doesn't.
Right.
But I think we just have to be aware that there are different measurements for whether or not she is progressing, whether or not she is excelling at some type of skill. And there are just different ways to measure it.
If she does go to a very high-ranking school, then just statistically, it would be her life would probably be easier. But if she doesn't, then we need to teach her tools to excel through alternative ways.
Yeah, just that there are other ways to measure yourself.
Right. It is easy for parents, teachers to just look at the grades and say, you don't get good grades, hence you can't really succeed in life. And so if we get a call from the teacher one day and say, Ella does not do well, or Ella is just such a mischievous student, then we need to dig deeper and figure out what the reason is. Is it because she's bored by school because she understands everything, or she has other problems, other issues that she has to handle in life?
And I think that goes back to an earlier topic we addressed in a vlog, which was that you need to experiment, because through experimentation you get to see, what our kid likes and dislikes, and
what her personality is.
For me, for example, in an academic setting with a classroom and someone instructing and reading from a book, that's not how I learn. I learn by, getting a notebook, and I take notebooks with me when we go on date night or when we go out with friends. I always take notes because my best way to learn is through interaction with others and just asking 1,000 questions. And it took many years for me to understand that that's how I learn, and to become confident with that and not get down on myself for just being horrible in an academic setting, which when you're put into that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years into that system, and where most of the way that you're judged is through that environment, then it can be understandably, difficult to get through that. So, we just want to make sure that she has self-esteem and that is built through different ways.
Right. Did your parents do anything about your grades? How did they react to it? Did they do anything special to make sure that you learn in a different way?
I think that they incentivized me by paying me to get better grades. Needless to say, I never came
paying you to get rewarding you if you get better. Okay, grades. I never get that. I never get that because to my parents, studying is one of my
jobs.
So you don't get rewarded by doing your job well.
It was one of my jobs too. I just never got paid for it well.
Maybe
we can just always have this looming threat that if she does poorly here, we're going to send her to China where she'll really learn how to get good at school.
Being in China, I think she will. That means she's exposed to a different culture, a different lifestyle. But by going back and forth, she would be exposed to different cultures. You have different ways to solve the same problem. So I think that could be one of the special things that we do as a family.
100%. So subscribe
14
here.
days left.
Subscribe
here to the hybrid family.
Peace out. Comment below.
I'm trying to be politically correct here.
Baby, you're not politically correct.
Right?
I got on a train and I was moving past this older woman, and as I was trying to move past her, I sat down and she looked at me and she said, "You're kind of fat."